Welcome to another episode of the Fanzone podcast, your home for all things Bolton Wanderers, up the Trotters, the Northwest's #1 podcast.
Good evening and welcome. Guess what you're watching, Ange? Yes, welcome to another episode of the Fanzone podcast, episode 128, entitled Schuper White's March On. Play on
Merch
words.
edition. Merch edition.
Remix. So, good evening. I hope you enjoyed yesterday's game. A 2-1 victory against Leyton Orient, a top of the table playoff clash. And, another half-time masterclass from Mr. Schumacher. Colin, good evening.
Yes.
Are you well?
Good evening, and welcome to another episode of the you've done that bit, haven't you?
No,
I'm really.
My go.
Yeah, your go. Sorry. Yeah, I'm really well, thank you. Good evening to everybody in the chat. Thank you very much for joining us. I am very happy. 3-point pod, and nice and cozy as well in the Fanzone pod merch, which I'm pretty happy about.
Isn't it?
Lovely. I think I'm turning my heating off, man.
Oh, what's that on the arm there?
I sounded like a Geordie then. I don't know why I said that.
Angela, joining us via British Rail and carrier bags on the lines. Are you well?
Yes.
You're going to have to elaborate on that for the viewers and the listeners, Ange.
Go on, Ange. Tell us your story about your friend.
No, I feel my Wi-Fi's been an arse, so I do apologise in advance. It just started to pause.
Just like it was an uncomfortable silence.
Yeah, so a bit of a drama. Went out to Chinatown for some food, and then some plastic bag on the line on the way home meant we had to stop between Salford and Bolton, and then reverse back to Salford, and then got an Uber, and then there was a police car and a rolling roadblock on the motorway. Just stay at home on a Sunday, people. That's
Tell me you live in England without telling me you live in England.
Yeah.
But I made it. Woohoo!
Unbelievable. What dedication to the cause. See what we do for you lot out there? Unbelievable. Daniel, are you well?
Very well, thank you, Christopher. Yesterday, 3-point pod, and I felt a bit like a competition winner. I was in the middle of a Yates sandwich yesterday. I was sat between Colin and the legend that is Malcolm, who often refers to me as Ben. So it was absolutely superb, to be honest with you, yesterday.
Was that Malcolm Lance Yates, no less?
Absolutely. Full name, yeah, that's right.
And I was in the middle. It wasn't Malcolm in the middle.
What a legend.
That's my middle name, actually, believe it or not.
It's what?
Malcolm, my middle name.
Oh, yeah,
Malcolm
of course, yeah. See? Learning something new every day. And right on cue there, Malk. A big shout out to Dan. Nicely done.
Hi, Michael. How are you, Michael, tonight? You all right?
Ready? No, it doesn't work, that, does it? Trying to engage via the chat. Doesn't work, especially with Malk. Bloody hell. You've been waiting half an hour. Right, without further ado, shall we get straight into it? This segment is brought to you by our sponsors, Johnston Tiling. Thank you. Oh, hey up. Chris Jenks, thank you very much.
£1.
Into
What a
the
guy.
pot we go. Hey. So.
What, Chris? I've just come up with a really good idea.
Oh, go on.
If we get enough donations during the next few pods, not expecting all in one go, and I've not run this by HR, of course, but if we get enough, we put it into a pot, we get one of these printed, and we do a comp. A giveaway.
Oh, a personalised hoodie.
Not personalised.
No, but, one of these jobs, so everybody else can get involved. So
You've got to be in it to win it. I reckon HR will approve that.
So if you all contribute £1 tonight, we'll get enough to, do us
Get one printed.
Yeah, get one printed and give them away.
Yeah, they are very snuggly.
They are.
I've turned my eating off, I told you before.
I can vouch to that. Yeah, Liam, Macca in the chat. Colleague from work. So our merchandise is sponsored by Data Broker. Big shout going out and all that. So anyway, without further ado, great result yesterday, as predicted by myself. A 2-1 victory for the Whites. Ange, what did you think of the game? Did you enjoy yourself?
So I did, but I am concerned, as so is the gaffer, about these slow starts. We've got to get a grip about these slow starts.
Yeah. No, good show.
We don't want to be getting used. And I did say to Ron, who sits at the side of me, that I didn't feel worried when we were behind, because I was like, I'm kind of used to it.
Oh, hang on. Bloody hell.
What?
Dan, you're on chat, mate. Come on. There's things to highlight here. There's a big
picture.
Good grief. My God. Laura.
And David.
And David.
Oh.
£2 from David. A tenner from Laura.
What a girl.
I didn't know what was happening then. You confused me.
Unreal.
Well, the only people who seem to be with it on this tonight seem to be me and Chris. Dan's fixing his bird. Angie's just recovering from Chinese.
I'm still traumatized after the
Oh, what's going on? Play me and Chris with it. Come on, get professionalism.
So yesterday we had a game of football.
I was talking about said game of football, and then you two started falling off your chairs.
Chubby shoot. As you were.
Yeah, so don't want to get used to going behind and then coming from behind. As exciting as it is, and as much as it gets us going, let's kind of get that knocked on the head now. But yeah, I thought there was some great performances yesterday. I think there's some people starting to kind of redeem themselves a little bit from the previous regime, who seems to be coming into form and proving that actually they're good footballers.
Name some names, Angela.
Certainly, Mr. Dacres Cogley for me was we'll get on to man of the match shortly, but for me was great yesterday and has been great since Shuey came in.
He was
everywhere we go.
We can sing that song again.
Labelled as prime Cafu yesterday by certain factions of the pod, and I can't disagree with that.
No, great performance yesterday. A little bit worried about a few little niggles and injuries we seem to have picked up from possibly yesterday and prior to that, with a couple of exclusions with Tolly and Geth. Oh, have we had another one? Whoa!
I'll be honest, it's looking like a hoodie giveaway, this, isn't it? It's going to happen, isn't it? We're
Might
really
be two
close
at this rate.
Really
come and join us.
Number. I'm going to get in trouble off HR for approving this without running it by him, but I reckon
seeing as we are a democracy and not a dictatorship, and the four of us agree to it, he can't really say much, can he?
Yeah.
Although I'm not personally delivering it in a bin bag. I'm not personally delivering it in a bin bag.
Which is what Dan did, but actually, by the way, yesterday he had to come in with his Santa's sack into the Fanzone with all our hoodies. So that would be fun if you saw him walking down to the stadium yesterday with his
Can we talk about the football?
Yeah, no, I think that's pretty much me. If you want to move on,
Dan, what were your thoughts? Sat up in the North Upper with the Yateses. What was your view on the game?
There was a large talking point about their goalkeeper going down after 30 minutes, and my esteemed colleague who I was sat with, head fell clean off at the fact that it completely stole our momentum, our impetus, everything going forward was taken right out of the game at that moment. But it's part and parcel of the game at the moment. Yes, it's something that they need to get a grip of, but at the minute it's part and parcel of the game. And if next week we're getting overrun by Wrexham and Luke Southwards goes down and takes a sting out of it, and then we go 1-0 up, no one will bat an eyelid.
No.
It's just one of those loopholes at the moment, but we have to be more potent in those first 30 minutes. We're on top. We were getting in behind 3 or 4 times. We were just lacking that final pass, and it was quite evident yesterday that we weren't playing with a focal striker, because although McAtee does a great job up there and scored again 3-2, he does come a bit deeper, looking for the ball. But no, a great win. Aaron Collins scared him to death when he came on at halftime, and testament to the gaffer again. I mean, in his post-match, again, I said it last week, absolute breath of fresh air, where he had a conversation with Aaron Collins on Friday when he named the team and said that the reason why he wasn't in the side was because he expected more from him, which takes some guts and some balls to say that to your top striker. And it's worked. And Collins reacted to that, and it's absolutely superb. But as Anne just said, Josh Dacus Cafu, Aaron Morley, everybody looks like they are a completely different player now under this new regime. And it's great to see, and it's exciting to see. And I don't fear anyone. I don't fear going to the Disney Stadium next week. I don't fear Birmingham a week on Tuesday. I don't fear nobody. We're level on points with 6th place. We're firmly in the hunt. And
what big week that is for us next week.
Absolutely.
Such a big week.
It's a big month of March for us. And if we can carry on, yes, we need to be level-headed. We are going to drop points and we are going to lose football matches between now and the end of the season. But we've won 5 in 6. And if somebody had said that to us 6-7 games ago, we'd have laughed at them. So we're
actually top of the form table in the last 6 games in League One.
Do you know what as well? I wrote, it's not like me to make notes, is it? And I made notes. Because previous seasons we had issues with getting points against top 6. So this season we have beaten Orient twice. We've lost to Huddersfield at home, beaten them away. We drew at Wickham and drew Wrexham at home. We pulled some points from the top 6 this season. Obviously, we've still got Birmingham. We lost to Birmingham and Stockport, who we've still got to play the rematches too. So it's just, for me, shows a slight change. And I know these aren't all under Shuey. We'd got some results under the previous regime. I can't even say his name anymore. It's like Voldemort. We've got some points from the top 6. So for me, it's a nice feeling to actually not just be getting points from the lower half of the table.
Absolutely. Acknowledgement to Mr. Limbrick. Peter, sir, thank you very much. And if you're joining us late and wondering what the hell's going on and where all this money's coming from, Colin has laid down the gauntlet for a little bit of a competition. If we can raise enough money, we are going to put out a competition where you can win your very own Fanzone podcast, or the Fanzone pod, as we've abbreviated it to. Hooded top, absolutely elite merchandise, I think you'll find. So basically, win yourself a pod hoodie.
And it's coming in an array of colours.
An array
of colours.
The colour gamut is unbelievable. It's off the scale. So can I just, before we talk to Colin about yesterday, I'd just like to go back to Dan's point about the dark arts, this gamesmanship as it's referred to. And as we all know, it's all pretty much come off the back of a conversation, an interview with David Stockdale, Wickham goalkeeper as he was. Interesting point raised yesterday at the game by fan of the show, Johnny Wanderer, who said that the whole kind of point is to have this like timeout, all the players congregate round the bench, assess tactics and what's going on, reassess, change formations, whatever it may be. At that point in the game, we were gaining a lot of momentum, and that's why the goalkeeper did it. It stopped our flow, it stopped the pressure, and it allowed them to reassess and change the formation to counter that. Fair point. And what he said was, well, why did we go and have a chat? We were doing everything we should be doing. There was nothing to... Why don't you just go and stand behind them all and listen into what they're saying?
I think a way of alleviating this ridiculous situation that we find ourselves in week out is, ironically, referencing exactly what you've just said, Chris. Just ban regrouping. You're not allowed to regroup. That you have to, if someone goes down, you stay in position. You stay on the field. You can't go to the touchline. If you go to the touchline, you get
like musical statues.
Start getting but you know what I mean.
A freeze.
You have to stay on the pitch. You have to stay on the pitch. You can't go and agree.
So like you have a technical area, you would congregate in the centre circle or whatever it may be. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that as well. And I think it's the only sort of byproducts of COVID that's still in the game, because that's where it came from, these drinks breaks and things like that, and going off and congregating around the technical area. It should be banned. Mark's made a good point. Mr. Crowther, good evening. Why does the keeper not go off for 30 seconds like a player? It's a tricky one. I don't think you...
Well, soon stop doing it, wouldn't they?
They certainly stop, but let's think about it logically. It's not going to happen. So as a bit of middle ground, maybe it's your skipper who goes off for 30 seconds. Or you
the tricky bit with it all is, how do you prove that he's not actually hurt? My head was falling off.
It doesn't
matter, regardless. Injured or not, off you go, off you pop, set your striker. Boom.
It's the same for outfield players. If a physio has to come onto the field and play to treat the goalkeeper, then another outfield player goes off for 30 seconds, perhaps. I mean, it's fixing a problem that shouldn't exist, but it's a real tricky one. It's an annoying one when it's being done against you. And as somebody said, if we win at Wrexham next Saturday, and Luke Southwood goes down, you're all for it, aren't you? So it's one of that. You just got to take the rough with the smooth. Colin, what were your thoughts on yesterday's game? What are you laughing at?
I'm just laughing at my old man's comment. I can just imagine this.
I imagine.
All players have to go in the centre circle. Just in a big circle, holding hands, like jumping up and down. All
Farmers in the den site.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sorry. Right,
stand up, big plug hole.
Yeah, roll that out. Yeah, yesterday. Listen, it's just another example, innit, of why changing the manager has had such a positive impact on this team. Not only from an individual perspective, but obviously from a tactical standpoint. We've seen it 2 or 3 times already, haven't we? When we backs against the wall a little bit. Obviously, we're losing at half time or whatever it might be, and formations and tactics and personnel change, and the game's addressed, and we go on and win. That's the standard of the caliber of coach that we've got at our disposal. I mean, we probably played like 2 or 3 different shapes yesterday in 90 minutes, and it's just it very much reminds me of the good old days in inverted commas when we had Sam who was a master tactician, and he adapted or adopted different formations for different type of teams that we were playing. We didn't just go in and play our way or nothing, despite what people think. It wasn't just a long ball game. It was a combination depending on who we were playing against. And it might sound simple, but I think what Schumacher's got at his disposal is the ability to be able to change it. I got to admit, I got to give a little bit of credit to Leyton Orient. I thought they were good. I thought they were organised. I do like their manager personally. I think I like what he tries to do with a small club with a small budget.
Well, he's got to play.
Dan's face.
Dan does not like Richie Wellens.
Is he any good at golf, Dan?
You'd think he was, the way he strutted around the golf club when he was a member.
Can we just pick this up from Hannah? I've left it on screen because Dan's not. I don't think Dan's bothering with chat.
Misses.
Hannah has asked, can I donate via YouTube? And the answer is yes. On YouTube, there is a subscribe button and there's also a join button. And if you click on the join button, it takes you to a sort of donation element where you
called
can...
stickers, don't they?
And you'll get stickers as well. Stickers of all our lovely faces, a little logo, as you'll see against, for example, Brandon's name. He's got that little, is it an S? In a circle.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be an S for subscribe, isn't
it? You get a little medal by your name. So onto YouTube, click the join button, which is next to subscribe. Click subscribe while you're there, obviously. That's
free, that.
Yeah. So yes, you can. What do you mean, Brandon? Here we go. Colin's right. And
it's because I was talking about a time before he was around, obviously, during the Sam days.
Back in the good old days.
Yeah. What I like about him, and I saw it a few times, if you watch Inside Match Day or any sort of videos that show the bench cam or any footage of Schumacher, you'll see him actually speak to a player and actually get him to move formation in game. You'll see him gesturing to move wider or come in. And it's the little things that you just never saw his predecessor do. And he's constantly analysing the game. It's phenomenal. Well,
are we giving Ian Evatt a little bit of disservice here?
Should we talk about it on that posting Catch of the Week, Cole?
Yeah, let's do that.
Because I think back. Yeah, I think that is worth mentioning. If I could just bring this up as well whilst we're at it. Legend, Jack Barnes. The new formation suits us so much better. The manager's not scared of making a sub to change the game. Would Mr. Everton made a sub at half-time ever always? Funnily enough, it was crying out for it. Matete was really, really struggling to get a foothold of the game. The goal, there were 2 points of the goal in the build-up where he normally would break it up, and he didn't. He was struggling for some reason. And like you say, he made that change at half-time, bringing Collins on, which he said he would to the player. He said it in his post-match that he would feature in some way, but he wasn't scared to do it at half-time.
I think, Chris, there was a little bit of a roll of the dice situation there with regards to that tactical change at half-time, because by bringing Aaron Collins off and taking Matete off, you obviously run the risk of being overrun in midfield, and it was kind of like a SHIT or bust situation. So that's, you got to give kudos to the manager for that, and that's where you ask the question as to whether Ian Evatt would have done something like that. I would hazard a guess as to no.
I think the key thing for that, and to that point, Colin, what you're saying there is the difference that it made is we sacrificed possession by making that change. Yeah. We let them have the ball. We sat a lot deeper. We brought Sheehan back into essentially a 6. And it worked.
It could have gone Pete Tong. It could have gone completely Pete Tong, to be fair.
Yeah.
But I have no doubt if it would have, he'd have had another plan.
Yeah. I was gonna come on to that bit. The fact that every time we name a team, it could be 3-5-2, 4-4-2, 5-3-2, whatever it is. He picks the team based on who we're playing against, where we're playing at, and we'll adapt it mid-game. Yes, all right, in the first few games, it's worked. There are going to be instances where it doesn't, and that's just human nature. But as Andrew rightly said, if it doesn't, he'll be quick enough to change it again. And this is where we're dealing with a head coach, somebody who's got a lot of nous, somebody who arguably was the brains behind Ryan Lowe down at Plymouth. And it's absolutely evident to see. And you said yesterday, didn't you, Carl? Where would we be now if we'd have accepted his resignation after Huddersfield? But
and you said,
as you were put in your place, Schumacher was still at Stoke. So thank the Lord we didn't.
It's like it's like signing players, isn't it? And funnily enough, it was Ian Ebbett who referred to it, that it's very much a domino effect. If you want to bring a player in, the club that's selling him needs to bring a player in to replace him, and there is a set of circumstances, and it's circumstantial. But I think as well, if you saw, there's been a lot of I won't call it hatred, but there's been a lot of negativity towards Chris Markham. And I wanted just to touch on that. None of the signings that he will have made will have been of his own volition. They'll all have been rubber stamped by Ian Ebbett. So he will have made recommendations and Ebbett will have signed them off. But anyway, that's another thing. But whatever we say about Chris Markham, and it was Mark Crowther who brought it up yesterday in a conversation I had with him, his parting gift and his parting shot was the recruitment of Stephen Schumacher. So if you think he's had a few dodgy windows, well, he wasn't totally responsible for those. And also, I would say, and I said it last week, and it's not because we beat Crawley or whoever we beat, we've got something special on our hands here in terms of a really, really good quality manager. And we're very fortunate to have him.
All I think about is Stoke fans. I mean, we're in a division full of tin pot teams, and they aren't a tin pot team. They aren't a tin pot club, and they were waxed lyrical over him, and were very disappointed when they sacked him. And for me, that's enough validation for me to know that we've got a good manager at our disposal, because Stoke are what I would consider a proper club, on a kind of a par with us, you might say. Stature, stadium, all the rest of it, fan base, yada yada yada. So they're a proper club, and I trust their judgment. Obviously, did a wonderful job with Plymouth. So yeah, there's a lot of things in our favour here with this one, isn't there?
Yeah, and I think as well, it seems to be reciprocated. If you watch any of his interviews, he can't stop smiling.
Yeah, absolutely. He's delighted to be here. But what excites me is the fact that he's not had a window yet. He's working with another manager's players. So wait till we have a summer. And again, let's hope that we get into the playoffs and we make a real good fight of it, which I think we will. But, even if we don't, next season, having had a full summer because it is a big summer. We've always said it, haven't we? It's a big summer for Bolton Wanderers with the amount of players we've got out of contract. And it is kind of moving day, as we like to put it. But if he has his own window to bring his own players in and his own stamp on it to bring in players who play how he wants to play, then it's only going to be even better, isn't it? So we really are in a privileged position. Let's not forget, I know he gets slagged off quite a lot, but let's not forget we wouldn't be where we are now if it wasn't for Mr. Ebbett. So we've got to give him credit to get us to where we are. He's taken us as far as he can take us. If Mr. Schumacher can take us up the next one, maybe two levels, then fantastic. And long may this positivity continue after months and months of negativity and doom and gloom around the place.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Colin said something earlier. Next week we'll have lost the game and we'll all be moaning again.
We wouldn't be Bolton Wanderers if we weren't moaning.
Is the correct answer. Yeah, exactly. Right. Well, it was a poison chalice as a segment. It isn't any longer. It's not contractually obliged. It's brilliant. Shall we go for man of the match?
Man of the match.
Yes, yesterday, another 3-point pod, another victory, and a load more positive performances, a load more standout. Wanderers players, get your nominations for man of the match in the chat. Whereas in recent weeks, there's probably been a handful. This time, I think it's getting even more difficult to pick. Some players are getting better week on week on week. Other players are showing glimpses of the player they used to be, and other players are really coming out of their shells. So we're going to start with my colleague Angela. Who's your man of the match from yesterday, Ange?
I've got 3. I'm really struggling to pick one.
3?
Got three. I've got three because I just absolutely adore this boy, Shabby
I know you're
Sean.
going to say no.
He's infectious. I just absolutely think he's such a grafter. He's like a breath of fresh air. Love that boy. But then Forrester in that box, just headed everything that came his way. But I think for me, because of potentially a bit of probably negativity I've had towards him from the past, I'm going to go give it to Josh Dacres-Cogley.
Deserved.
Okay, yeah, fantastic. And I think it's people forget the ball that he played into Collins to assist McAtee. Was an absolute dream ball. And let's not forget, a friend of mine who knows people inside the club at Tranmere have always said that Cogley is a right back, not a right wing back. Playing him at right wing back, we've been playing him out of position. So yesterday, for him to be in a flat back four, paid dividends, didn't it? And to show how well he's done. But equally, he's growing in confidence. He's clearly adapting under the new regime as well. And as I referred to him yesterday, he looks at the moment like prime Cafu. So well
really
done, Josh.
Comfortable. Looks just so comfortable for me. So yeah, Josh.
Okay, Chris, who's your man of the match, mate?
I'm not going to disagree. I said it yesterday. I'm not going to change my mind. It's Cogley. It's the levels. It's the size of the jump that he's made. It's just phenomenal. And I was one who absolutely slated him under the previous management. Absolutely slated the lad, and that's not like me. I'll back them all, but I just thought he was brilliant yesterday. Not just his play, but his attitude, his application, his bollocking of other players, pardon my French, but he was just so aware of what was going on. And I've just got to give him so much credit. He was excellent. So, yeah, Josh Dacres-Cogley for me.
Yeah, can't argue with that, Christopher. Mr. Yates, the Oracle, who's your man of the match, sir?
He was never a right winger, was he? Cogley, he's a right back, isn't he? When he playing wing backs, they're effectively wingers for us, aren't we? So, aren't they? So, he was never going to be the Conor Bradley, and I think that's part of the issue when it came to Cogley playing in that position. People kind of expectation levels were through the roof. He deserves a lot of credit, and yesterday was fantastic. Special mention as well to John McAtee yesterday. I thought he led the line very well, very difficult in certain situations. He obviously tried to link play a little bit, played a bit of a false nine, I think, in that first half, tried to kind of drop in a little bit and link the wide men. And I think he did a good job. His back to goal works improving. He's obviously very confident. I thought he took his goal very, very well. Ran himself into the grounds. So I think he deserves a lot of credit. But for me, I'm going to have to go with Will Forrester. I thought he was an absolute colossal yesterday. Literally like a magnet to his head. He reads the game very well. He's committed. He's aerially absolutely fantastic. Everett said that he was the best box defender, I think his terminology was. Yeah, and then decided never to play him, which is we all mind about that. And that's obviously evident in the way he's played since Schumacher's come in. I think he's great. I think you made the point yesterday. I think, Dan, sometimes a little bit the five at the back throws him off a little bit. I think when he's in four, he looks very good. However, to add to that, I thought seeing Firino come on and play centre half helped him. When we did go to five at the back yesterday, you could see he was organising, he was giving the ref stick. I think that's why he got booked for tying his lace. I like that. Proper centre half. Everett had him. He played him right side of a three. Firino, I think, against Huddersfield. And then he practically expects him to play on the right wing at times, which is, Firino must have thought, what the hell's going on here? But you could see centre of a three, far more comfortable when he came on, won everything. and I'm going off on a tangent, but my man of the match was Forrester. Fantastic performance.
Yeah, can't agree more. No, what I said, Cole, was I think in the 4, it hinders him because in a 5, where he's got 2 alongside him, it allows him to carry the ball out because I think his distribution. He just reminds me of Gary Cahill in every
Like
sense.
a B-Tech version of Gary Cahill.
Unbelievable. And I think because he's been superb for the last month, 5 weeks, the level for Will Forrester's gone to here. So if he doesn't get an 8.59, he's kind of not in man of the match territory anymore because he's just become to a level that we've become to expect. But he's absolutely incredible at the centre of defence. Have we missed Santos? Have we balls? Because this man has stepped into these shoes, gained, I think, 3 of our man of the matches over the last 4 weeks. He's only 23, as Brandon's just rightly pointed out. He's got a lot of football, a lot of development still to do. And for me, he's a future captain of this football club because he's absolutely superb. I think it was your dad yesterday. Every time he headed the ball out, all I kept telling him was, Forrester again, Forrester again. But so Forrester is my man of the match, but special mention to Georgie J, who's finding form again, and he's in the shadow of Forrester. He doesn't look like he's excelling because of how good Forrester is. I think Aaron Morley as well often goes under the radar, does a lot of donkey work, has come back a completely different player. Cogley, as you two have rightly said, looked superb. Aaron Collins changed the game when he came on. McAtee's growing in confidence. Sean is just a revelation. So all over the park, we're just looking better and better. But for me, it has to be Will Forrester, and that puts us in deadlock in terms of the panel.
Is it Gethin Morley? Is it Gethin Morley? Or is it...
I think what was another one? Somebody commented the other day that we've got Gethin Morley, then we should have Josh Dacres Lolos, which is Chris Farino. Which is, when you look at him and you put them together, he's uncanny. So whoever it was who shouted that out, great shout. Just before we go on to get stats on, Hannah, we will help you with your little quandary with the payment thing. I know you've joined and subscribed at $1.99, but I saw your comment earlier, and Colin brought it to my attention as well that you want to chuck a tenner in the pot. Was that right? Did I read that right, Cole?
Ange, over to you. Yeah?
Yeah, no, she said she was trying to donate a tenner, but wasn't sure how. And I don't know how, because I'm a technophobe.
So what we'll do, during the get stat on, we'll figure it out and give you a bit of a guide.
Before we do get stat on, we just need this tiebreaker sorting out. Well, don't we, Daniel?
Yeah.
Can I just add something very quickly, just to the situation regards to Aaron Morley? You mentioned Aaron Morley, Dan, a second ago. How it's only relevant for a certain percentage of this audience, but how comfortable are you when he steps up for a penalty? I think he's in the kind of like Gary, dare I say it, the Gary Speed kind of category when it comes to how relaxed I am when it comes to taking a penalty. I don't know whether you agree with that.
He's our technically the most gifted footballer we've got. Technically. All right. Tutu is class going forward, skillful, but I think
Tutu.
Oh my word.
Sorry.
Right. We're doing the tie break anyway, so people keep interjecting.
Right,
yeah, what's the chat count up? You got to count up the chat for a tie break.
Give it to Tutu.
Like the chat, I'm pulling rank here because Forrester's had it 3 weeks.
That's not how it works. It's not a dictatorship.
Pulling rank here.
Let me talk, will you? So
ripping up the rule book.
Oh, let's get rid of him.
Have you finished interjecting? Right. We're getting a bit giddy because we're on a bit of a winning streak. Just let me talk, will we? So yeah, like us, it looks pretty torn between Cogley and Forrester in the chat. So for me, again, it's deadlock again with the chat. So because Forrester's had it for 3 out of 4 weeks and he is superb and he's had all the plaudits from the Fanzone pod for many weeks, this week's man of the match will be Josh Dacres Cafu.
Boom.
Fair enough.
Put it
We
on
should
the
have really
show.
done a vote in the chat, and despite what Dan said, sod the chat or whatever terminology used, that is a load of rubbish. That is not the opinion of the rest of the Fanzone podcast.
Hang on.
Just Dan.
What does it say on here? Hosted by the
It's
fans.
for the fans
For
only.
All
the
the
fans.
fans.
I
Well, I
meant
put
because
another bit,
that's,
unless you Dan.
I
Unless
meant
you
because
that's
that's tied
caveat.
as well. Oh, dear
Anyway,
me.
bloody hell. So, as I mentioned, we'll be getting start on. See if you can spot what he's wearing.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Get Stat On with the Statman. Of course, this segment of the Fanzone podcast is indeed sponsored by Jenna Louise Salmon, and you all know the line. If you're buying a gaff, give her a bell. But we'll move on from that pretty sharpish, I think, and we'll look at the beautiful Fanzone pod hoodie that I am repping right now. And yeah, I must say, it is absolutely fantastic. Mine is the grey one, as you can see. And there are some beautiful colours on display. Let us know what you think in the live chat if you haven't already. But anyway, you lot know I am just about the 40. And your next game is a big one, let's put it that way. You're playing Wrexham next Saturday, 12:30 kickoff. And I mean, I'm sure you're already aware, but I thought I'd relay it anyway. And they're pretty good, as I'm sure you know. And you did lose 1-0 in the cup not too long ago, but that was quite a good game. And we'll come on to some analysis of that in a little bit. So, who are Wrexham? Right, Phil Parkinson is of course the manager. I'm sure you all know him very well. And he's got a very good record at Wrexham with about 2 points per game. So, you know, that is pretty smashing. And I should say all of these stats are taken before their game from earlier today. But it is ahead of... It's not happened yet when I'm recording this, but it will have happened for you, is what I'm saying. However, their last game, at the time of recording, they got beat 2-1 by Leyton Orient, and you just beat them 2-1. So, you know, it's a very winnable game, but it's a massive game at the same time. They play a back 5, 3-5-2 formation. So my advice would be not match them up, but go back to the 5 instead of the 4, as you have done. You've been flexible under Schumacher, and I think you should go back to the 5, and we'll come on to why in just a little bit. But a little bit more about Wrexham. So they're second best in the league for least goals conceded a game, with under 1. I think it's 0.9. So, you know, it's going to be a tough game. I imagine you will score. Try not to jinx it, eh? But no, this should be an exciting one. They play on the counter a lot. They don't really have possession. And to be honest, that's not great for you, because you don't tend to deal with transition incredibly well. Your rest defence will be incredibly crucial, and that just means how many people you leave back when you're attacking. So another reason to play the back 5 would be because you've already got 3 defenders, and you'd have the 2 more defensive midfield players ahead of them. Personally, I'd play Matete and Sheehan ahead of the back 3. You could chuck someone else in there, but yeah, that's what I'd do in it, because they're both fairly defensively solid compared to the rest of your options. Anyway, what else do? They love a long ball. They absolutely love a long ball. First in the league for long balls a game, and they love a cross as well. Third in the league for crosses. So, you know, that's not excellent for you either. But I don't think you win this game based on your defence, to be honest, because it has been quite solid in recent weeks. Touch wood. Yes, I'm aware. And you only let in 1 against them last time. I think it's all about the attack, personally. So, I would play the back 5. However, I would play Osei Tutu as the left wing back, because he's a threat, isn't he? I'm pretty sure he's fit. If he's not fit, I'll look like a proper mug anyway. But yeah, I'm playing him on the left of the defence, but letting him bomb on. And we're taking the game to him, is what I'd say, if I was doing the team talk, because you have got to go at them. But they are quite good. So, we're going to go back to when you played them in the cup, and I'm sure you don't want to, because, you know, it's the crappy cup, and not that we're that type of podcast, and you got beat. However, this is going to be quite important for how this game turns out. So, first thing, screenshot 1 is Cogley in on goal, because he played left wing back in this game, and he did not score this chance. Johnston played him in, cracking ball, and he couldn't quite convert, but Sean or OC Tutu probably would. So that's why I'm going for that personnel there rather than an actual, or rather than someone who's more defensive. You still go attacking, but you've still got more defensive numbers. But yeah, we're going to go on to the next thing now. Adebayo caused him a lot of problems just with his size and his strength, so I'd probably pick him up front. Not that everyone on this podcast will be happy with that. I'll let you decide who that is. But I think he'd be up front, and Collins to the left if he's fully fit, and someone more creative on the right, maybe even a Morley or a Randall or a McAtee, take your pick. Or a Lolos even. But yeah, that's what I do personally. And now we're going to look at their goal in your game. And we're not even going to look at the actual goal because we don't need to. We just need to look at this screenshot right here. This comes from about 10 seconds before they score. And you can see Thomason is absolutely bolting it. And he is just pressing for his life. However, nobody else is, so he shouldn't. You've all got to go as a team. You can't just one go because you'll leave a massive gap. And that's what he did. There was a load of space in midfield, and one of their players just had a shot from the edge of the box, and it was a cracking finish, to be fair. But the space was only there because Thomason wasn't there. So if you are playing the 5, the 2 behind the striker, or the more advanced of the 3 in midfield, if that's what you end up doing, needs to let the deeper 2 sit off and just stay in front of the centre-backs. There should be a little gap as possible in between the centre-backs and the defensive midfielders, because that is where the goals will come from in this game if you let them. But anyway, I'll let you enjoy the rest of the podcast and let everyone else get back to. You can see their hoodies again. You can stop looking at mine. But no, I'm only joking. Enjoy the rest of the podcast, and I'm sure I'll see you very soon. Goodbye.
Callum, thank you. As you can see, the logos are the right way around. It's what? Hang on a minute, Brandon. £20.
Bloody hell!
Someone, Chris, show him the back. Show him the back. Someone spin around and show him the back.
Put your pants on.
Get a bit lower. Luke, it's even got the back done. Ooh.
Look at that.
That's got to be worth £1 of anyone's money.
Tell you, they're of a very high quality. I think you'll find.
To be fair, I reckon though. Again, I'm going above HR here, but if people just contribute £1, if you can, then we'll do as many. We'll give as many giveaways of them as we possibly can. We could do maybe a couple or 3, depending on obviously what we pulled together this pod. What do you reckon?
Let's go with the flow. Let's see
if
what happens.
If we get enough for a couple this pod, then everybody who's donated during this pod will get chuck them in the hat. Yeah.
So far, using modern technology, a calculator,
ready right now.
A whopping £44.98 tonight so far. So who's going to donate £5 2p to make us at 50 quid? Because that would be some podcast. This feels like OnlyFans, doesn't it? OnlyFans.
Just pimping ourselves, aren't we?
So Dan, obviously you helped organise these. Where would that stand us at the moment for in terms of getting a couple of giveaways?
Yeah, I think what I would obviously goes with anything with print and ordering. I think if we order one, we're going to struggle to make it pay value. So again, speaking above HR here, if people are keen for this, we can do it every week until people get bored. And what we'll probably do is order the winning ones at the end of every month. So we're probably ordering 4 or 5, and then we'll distribute them in a bin bag in the fan zone. You can come and have a Madri with us and a slush and some really.
That will be the new tradition.
Yeah,
I'll buy the Madri. How's that?
And
all of them for all of us. Thanks,
no, for the person that's won.
You can't beat the Madri.
HR is not letting us loose again on another Sunday pod.
You can't beat a Madri in a bag in the fan zone. Anyway,
you can come and have your picture with the Fan Zone podcasters in your new hoodie.
Yeah. If you want to, obviously you don't have to.
There we go. 50 quid.
Unbelievable, Laura. That's just phenomenal. Thank you so
Anna's
much.
done 2 quid as well as 52.
God, there we go. Can't keep up. While we're asking for money, great segue. I think it's worth mentioning this. So we want more money now, please. But it's not.
Where's Dan just gone? We can totally see you.
Oh, he's getting
sleeping.
He's dressing up as Colin the Caterpillar again. Here he goes. So as you know, we will be taking part on the 21st of March in the next Tough Sleep, the sleep out at the Reebok Stadium, which raises money for the homeless charities for people around the Bolton area. It's a phenomenal cause. We did it last year, new picture, and we raised over £1,600, which all went to these charities, which was amazing. We've already had donations coming in. I think we're up to just under 40% of our target. We want to smash it. We want to get to 200%. I can't do this whilst he's walking around in that. Will you pack it in? Where have you gone now? It just walks off.
Daniel, will you sit down?
Put your sleeping bag away. This is serious, this. Wouldn't happen to Lenny Henry or Bob Geldof, this, would it? You know what I mean? So we need you to dig deep. This isn't for hoodies. This isn't for anything like that. Or we will be wearing the hoodies on the night to keep us warm. But we need your donations. It's so important. I can't stress that enough. I know I'm going on, but we really need your help. We'll put the it's not just giving, it's a different site they're using this year, but we'll put the link out in our socials so you can donate. It takes about a minute, if that. Whatever you can spare, pennies, pounds, whatever, it's all welcome. So please remember where it's going. It's going to some phenomenal charities who help the homeless people of Bolton. So it stays within the community. So if you could help, we'd really appreciate it. It's not easy. It's bloody cold, but it's a great cause. So thank you very much. Right.
Again, Chris, sorry to interject. Going above HR, obviously we'll give the hoodies away based on our performance of donations, but any surplus we'll obviously put to the sleep out pot. What do you reckon to that?
Yeah, brilliant idea. Yeah, keep it coming. Whatever you can do, it'll all go to a good cause.
So a bit of a mixture of giveaways / money for the sleep out. Yeah?
Yeah. Perfect.
Magic.
It's a deal.
I'm going to get in trouble with me anyway.
Yeah. Don't care.
Be right.
It's all for a good cause. So, Colin?
Catch of the week.
Are you ready?
What? This is basically becoming the reaction after the Saturday game. Catch, banter, post, tweet, whatever. There's some absolute belters. I'm going to start with a topical one, and I've spoke to Chris about this prior to coming on tonight, and I'm keen to get the thoughts and opinions of people in the chat, obviously, despite what Dan said. Aaron Morley dodged a question, didn't he, Chris, Dan, Ange, and everybody else, with reference to Ian Evatt?
God.
What are our thoughts on that? I'll start with you, Chris, because I've got a steer on yours, so I'm keen to get your opinion for the chat, really.
Yeah, but for anyone who is unfamiliar or unaware of this, there was it's a brilliant segment that Mark Isles and Henry Hewitt do on the Buff Pod, which is called The Last Word. So it's immediately post-match. They did an interview with Aaron Morley, and the question was asked about the change in management and the change in management style and how that's influenced him and affected it. And as Colin said, he absolutely dodged it. In fact, I think he used the word skip, as in, can we skip this one? He was quite clearly making a point that, best left unsaid in terms of previous manager to current manager and how it's affecting his game. Silence is golden, says David. It is indeed.
Yeah. He might as well have just come out and said, I didn't like him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Might
it
he
was
really?
Pure implication. It was very well handled by the young man. And it's great to see him back playing as he is. Phenomenal. Great to see a smile on his face. But yeah, Colin, you and I were speaking about management styles and things like that. And is it all down to Everett? We're not here. It's not a witch hunt. I think that there is a conversation that it is a two-way street. You know, is it all down to the manager, or is a lot of it down to the player as well in terms of how he applies himself to get back into the team?
Yeah, I mean,
calling it.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I think it's a two-way street, isn't it? Like, let's be honest. I mean, who's to say that Aaron Morley weren't pulling his weight before he went out on loan to Wickham? And was he pushing himself? Was he challenging Ian Evatt with his football? Who knows? But it's clear to see that they didn't get on, did they? Let's be honest.
No.
Question for the chat and Dan and Ange and Chris, of course, is who's the best at gamesmanship? Dan, I'll go with you with this one, pal. Is it Wanderers or Orient? Because according to Orient Mad, it's called gamesmanship, lads. Just another thing that we, in brackets Orient, are simply better than you at. I presume, given the fact they said this at 3:53 p.m, according to the timestamp, that he said this just before or just after half time.
Yeah, they can be as good at that as they want after 45 minutes, 1-0 up, can't they? And the last time I checked, you don't get any points for that. So,
how many points have they had against us this season? Just
0. And my reply to him, to why you see me, it's Orient Mad, was, I'd rather be better at football, mate. Cheers.
Well, they're both in the league, but I know what you mean, Ange.
I think as well, it's ironic. I didn't notice the timestamp call, funnily enough, but it's ironic that Richie Wellens, who is Leyton Orient manager, was frustrated and annoyed by his own team's, what did he call it, gamesmanship, and wasting time after 20 minutes in his own post-match interview. Doesn't really, like you say, it doesn't win your games, and it doesn't win your points, Dan, does it?
Absolutely not.
It's interesting though, Dan, isn't it? And obviously you were sat with me yesterday, as you said already. My brother alluded to it, gamesmanship and time wasting and all that. We were the best team for the first half an hour of that game yesterday, and we should have been probably 1-0 up. And we didn't finish our chances. We weren't clinical enough in that final third. So you kind of leave it. You're kind of leaving yourself, to be done at it, aren't you? Really, because if you go and score, they're not going to time waste, are they? So you got to be better, haven't you? Really.
We need to remember that at this level, and it's not arrogance, it's confidence. We are a scalp when teams come to the Reebok. They expect to come here and have a tough game and will happily take a point or nick one on the break. So they'll do whatever they can to run that clock down or to change the flow of the game and everything else. And Leyton Orient yesterday did it to an absolute T. We were all over them for the first 30 minutes. We didn't capitalise on that. We didn't score a goal. If we'd have scored a goal, would that keeper have gone down in 30 minutes? No, he wouldn't. So we do have to take some ownership of that. But equally, we need to look at it that next week, if Wrexham are running riot at their ground against us and Luke Southwood goes down, we change the momentum and we score a goal, we'll be all for it. But let's not forget that him going down didn't result in us going in at the break 1-0 down. Our lack of potency at one end of the pitch and the ability not to clear our lines at the other end of the pitch is exactly why we went in 1-0 down. Nothing to do with that. Yes, they changed their system and they had that gathering with their manager and their assistants, but so did we, and we should be better at adapting to what they have done. So it's all right blaming the goalkeeper and it's time wasting, it's shambles and it's ruining the game and this, that, and the other. It's part and parcel of it. It is.
It's something that we lack It is something we lack, but it's all about getting the mix right. And we've seen it. We saw it against Crawley. We saw it again yesterday. And the amount of time added on speaks volumes. There was 10 minutes? Yeah, 10 minutes in the second half. There was 4 minutes in the first half. That's all it amounts to in terms of an end product.
And we were all for Chris Farino signing his shoeless, weren't we? So,
well, exactly.
We cannot have our cake and eat it, can we? Let's be honest. So if we do it next week, or we're 1-0 up, or we're getting overrun, even at home against Birmingham next week, if they're on top, the only way we can take this thing out of the game is by Luke Southwood going down and being injured in inverted commas to enable us to regroup, regather, and go again. Then it's part and parcel. It is. And yes, I think I heard or read somewhere that the FA or the EFL are looking into how they can stamp this out, which they can only do at the end of the season. They can't do it. They can't change the rules. So it's a loophole that's been found and exposed, and we just have to adapt and be better in terms.
It goes back to what I said before. Yeah, it goes back to what I said before as well, doesn't it? Just stop them going to the touchline.
Yeah,
they're not allowed to.
You can't do that mid-season, though, can you?
Why?
No.
You can't real change mid-season.
Can you not? Would that be a real change? I suppose it will, wouldn't it? I guess.
Yeah, it is.
Do you think we'll get tired of winning under Mr. Schumacher? Because according to Jim the Wanderer, we might.
Yeah.
In conjunction with Mr. Trump, whether you like
your favourite.
That's
a great post.
It's a different conversation for another day. Yeah, that was a classic. That I think Jim needs a little bit of credit for that one, doesn't he?
Oh, belter. Absolute stonker. I'm not a fan of Trump, but I love that one.
Yeah. No, again, different pod. Different conversation. You made some friends, didn't you, Chris, with
Brian.
Was it RT? Brian?
Yeah, Brian. Yeah, top marks are not trying. Yeah. And you know what? I said to you earlier, Colin, I'd forgotten all about it. And credit goes to Monkey See, Monkey Do, as he's known as on Twitter, for piping up. I made a comment to say that Stephen Schumacher is going to be the best thing to happen to Bolton Wanderers Football Club since Sam Allardyce. And I'll stand by that. However, Ryan, who is a Leyton Orient fan, says, you've beaten Crawley and you've beaten Shrewsbury. Barely. Relax. Yeah, I don't think that beating those two teams is any sort of justification for making that comment, and it certainly wasn't. I've been watching football long enough, Brian, to know that that's not the case. It's just a gut feeling. It's called optimism. But he also went on to say that about beating Orient, and David pipes up.
Go on, David.
Yeah, go on, David.
Go on, David. Shall I remember?
Yeah, wishful thinking, said Ryan, about beating Orient, and we did. So there you go. What a lovely little story. And thanks to those who got involved.
Indeed, as ever. And Lofty, being Lofty, of course, highlighted by Brendan. Thank you very much for that. Absolute cracking posts.
Belters, I just realised we've not done fan focus and we're at over an hour.
Oh, jeez.
Hey, I'm the host. I'll take the flak. Don't worry, team. It's on me, this one. So, I think we better get on with it, though, haven't we? Should we do fan focus?
Get it done.
Hey up, it's Ange on Fan Focus. What's
so like Stephen Schumacher, we're not
Ange's Focus.
Mixing it up.
You did it.
Big thanks to Matt over at Wood and Grains for sponsoring this segment as always. Some quality merchandise available from his good self. So I was going to do two, but one of them was Leslie's brilliant comment about how Dacres Cogley's brilliant again. So, and we've already ascertained 3 man of the match, that we agree. So what we'll do is, because we're over, HR loses his mind, is we'll just concentrate on, and to be honest, fan focus is always a little bit quieter when we're doing well. We do prefer a whinge.
We got a comment about that, didn't we? Was it what's
Yes.
his name? Tony.
Yes, he said it's quite nice to not have anything to say, but positives are great. We don't mind a positive. So Jordan Hookway, brilliant supporter of the pod and the sleep out, has said, seeing problems and fixing them in game, the sub at half time. Getting Collins on, playing off the left allowed McAtee to get in the game and get his goal. But this is the point I wanted to kind of emphasise, because I agree that it's good to have the place bouncing again. So I bumped into Maggie from the Supporters Trust in the toilet just before kick-off, and we had a quick chat saying, doesn't it feel different? It's like people are smiling walking into the ground, and it's like the doom and gloom's lifted. So yeah, I just wanted to get everyone's opinion on how they think it feels now that we're back in home soil with a new regime, and I do agree that it's changed somewhat, the feeling.
I've
Chris.
got an opinion on. Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was going to go to Chris first, but Colin, you're eager, so we'll go with you.
An eager beaver. I've got an opinion on that. Yeah, I think the reason why it's upbeat is because I think there's listen, we're in League One. We shouldn't be in this division through various reasons, as we're not going to get into again. But there's always going to be pressure. But I do think that there's alleviated pressure on the possibility of us getting promotion this season. I think a lot of people are saying it's a bit of a free hit. If we do it, brilliant. If we don't, go again next season. And he's obviously got a summer, yada, 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 yada. So I think people are a lot more relaxed. And that was my immediate reaction at half-time yesterday when there wasn't a single boo. And I purposely listened out for it. There wasn't one heckle in 20-odd thousand people. I mean, listen, I didn't hear every single person, but I didn't hear any. So, I mean, naturally, that is a bit of a standout kind of thing given the last few months. So I think that's part of the reason why it's a lot more happier of an environment, because there's not a lot of pressure for this season, to be fair.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think as well that like the whole atmosphere. Yeah, I watch, and I think you do as well. I think a couple of us do watch Ben's football vlogs on YouTube. He sits in the west lower, so he pans across the east lower on his vlogs. A few weeks ago, that part of the stadium at full time was empty. Last couple of games, it's full again. So 90 odd, 100 and odd minutes, it's still full of supporters. And I think a lot of it is an overriding kind of feeling that the team are playing for the shirt again. It's not all about style and, it's substance over style. It's players grafting and being passionate, and that connection between the players and the fans is sort of coming back again. It's not that long ago that we had players who stopped and refrained from clapping the supporters because of abuse and negativity. It's only a few weeks ago that was happening, and now look at it.
I said recently that the match had become the least favourite bit of my match day, and I loved doing everything around it, and I was really struggling with the football, and for me, I actually was genuinely buzzing to be going the Reebok on Saturday.
Yeah, people were referring to it as being a chore.
Yeah,
and it should never be that. So
no, it is, but it has been, and as Colin said, and I had a conversation with someone yesterday, a fellow fan, where it's nice to be in the chasing pack with no pressure, because again, there is no expectation, I think, given how the season's gone. We will cement the playoffs. There's no two ways about that. But again, we won't be going down to Wembley potentially with that expectancy that we had last year that could hang heavy again. So, I mean, let's look at it. If we were to pull everything out against all of us now and get promoted, given the first half of the season, or 2024, it would be phenomenal, wouldn't it? But just to be in and amongst it again and having conversations like this and having days where fans are looking forward to going to the game, it's what it's all about, isn't it? At the end of the day, whichever league we're in. I know we're not a League One football club, but we shouldn't be in this division. But it's what it's all about, isn't it? It's being entertained on a Saturday. It's going with you. It's going with your lad. It's going with your mates. Having a couple of beers, football, and having a smile on your face, and basically putting the stress of the working week to one side and just switching off.
A very good point, Dan. I'm not too sure I feel about Mark's comment. I'd rather us be the best part of the week, Mark. Or I think he said podcast. I'm presuming he's referring to all of them. But
no, it's all about the football.
For those who are listening on audio, Chris.
Yeah. Mark says the podcast used to be the best part of the week in regards to ever, obviously, the controversy and the hubris around Mr. Ever. Now it's all about the match day and love for players and the manager. Well, guess what?
That's what it should be.
That's exactly how it should be. It's not about us. But it does feel great to be speaking more positively about the club again. So...
HL will not be speaking positively about us with our 12-minute overrun. It's like yesterday's extra time.
And I've just had a message off him saying I've not filled my rotor in either. So I'm in double trouble.
Well, before you close off, Chris, I just want to thank everybody that donated tonight. My modern technology calculator has alluded to the fact that we have raised a whopping £62.95 tonight. So thank you very much to everybody. As a result, we will be giving away one of the Fanzone pod hoodies. Keep your eyes peeled on our socials for how we do that, because we need to get approval from HR of how we're going to do it. Probably do a spinning on Twitter.
Spinning wheel thing.
Spinning wheel thing, yeah.
As they say, Daniel, build it and they will come.
Correct. And I was just about to say that we will be guided by you, the viewers, the chatters, the subscribers, the likers. The longer this continues, the more donations that we get throughout the forthcoming weeks. We will continue to offer this as a giveaway. Once this dies down and you guys aren't interested anymore and the hoodies aren't really your bag or you're not winning, then we'll stop. But thank you very much to everybody. We've got 14 games to go. There's a lot of football to be played. Come on, you Whites.
Indeed. Couldn't put it better myself. In fact, it might be two hoodies because I've not filled my rotor in and we've overrun. So I imagine Ben wants this one back. So it might be two. And on that bombshell, Colin, thank you.
Pleasure.
Daniel, thank you. The wonderful Angela, thank you. Also, it's not been mentioned, but thank you to our headline sponsor, Eco One Windows. As ever, we couldn't do it without you. Thank you ever so much. And thanks to all of you, nearly 200, however that works out, I don't know, but 200 across the platforms, Cole. Can't be bad.
Well said, Chris.
Can't be bad.
And we'll see you on the next one.
Ta-ra.
Up the Whites. Cure you, white men.